UFC 326 is this Saturday with a made-up belt on the line. Charles Oliveira will take on Max Holloway for the BMF belt. I always think these are just an insult to your intelligence. Like, I don't think that Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway is doing less numbers if there's no belt on the line. But, you know, now this is the new UFC. We can't have pay-per-views without belts. So, interim BMF. I saw a report earlier that was a couple days ago that there was like another made-up belt. It was Ilia Topuria, I think, wanting to fight for the pound-for-pound belt. I don't know how that would work, you know? Like, okay, so if the number 1 pound-for-pound guy is a flyweight and the number 2 is a middleweight, are they supposed to fight now for the pound-for-pound belt? It's ridiculous. But watch the UFC make it. That should be fun. Either way, though, this card is a good one, and we're going to break it down. Main card first, and as always, is this card worth $80? No, it's not. Good thing you don't have to pay for it because it's on Paramount Plus. Best part, by far. We'll kick off with the first fight of the night, which is actually good. This card actually would be, I think, I joked, but I think this card would be worth close to $80. The first fight of the night is one of the reasons why. You've got Bruno Ferreira against G-Rod, RoboCop, Gregory Rodriguez. This is a rematch where Bruno Ferreira ended up beating Gregory Rodriguez in their first go-around, but since then, both fighters have enjoyed some wins, some losses. I mean, you got Bruno Ferreira, who's only, he's 15-2. G-Rod, though, lives up to that name. He goes and walks you down and has dynamite in his hands. And I think if you look at both of these fights, or if you look at both these fighters, I think the advantage is Gregory Rodriguez, just because he hits harder. I think in their first fight, Gregory Rodriguez got clipped. Like, he got caught. It happens to just about every fighter, and I don't see it happening again. And I think if these two are going to be in a stand-up match, which I don't think Bruno Ferreira really wants, but if it ends up happening, then I'm going to favor the guy who hits harder. I'm also going to favor, by the way, the guy that has had the better competition, which G-Rod has. And that's nothing against the competition that Bruno Ferreira has had, but when you look at G-Rod's fights since the Bruno Ferreira fight, he has faced stiffer competition. Whether he has lost to that competition or not, he's faced stiffer competition. And because of that, I think he ends up righting this wrong and ends up getting the W. I have G-Rod by knockout in this one. The next fight is one of my locks of the night. I have no idea what the betting line is. I imagine it's going to be heavy in the way of the guy I'm picking. But you've got Drew Dober going against Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson is one of my least liked fighters in the UFC. He is a guy that somehow continues to be on anything but the early prelims. He is a guy that really should have been released a long time ago. He is filler. And he's a vet that the UFC will throw out there despite a dog shit record of 24-19. They will throw out there because, I don't know if you're aware of this, at one point he beat Dustin Poirier. Yeah, like 10 years ago. So they'll throw that out there and they'll show some highlights. But I see this fight going exactly as just about every single Michael Johnson fight goes. Michael Johnson will come out, and he'll look really good on the feet. And the announcers, really it's Joe Rogan, will make mention, oh man, Michael Johnson looks fast tonight. Oh, he looks look at the hand speed. The hand speed is definitely in the favor of Michael Johnson. And then he's going to get caught. Because that's what happens in just about every fight. Now, to his credit, he has rattled off 3 straight victories, and I have picked him to lose in all 3 of those victories, whether it be the Daniel Zahuber fight, whether it be the Azabar fight, whether it be whoever he fought before that. Like, I pick him to lose because that's exactly what he was for a long, long time, was the sacrificial lamb going like 8-2 at one point in like 10 fights. And I think that losing streak, or that winning streak ends this go around with a good test and competition to Drew Dober. Drew Dober is not a world beater, all right? He's nothing that's going to make you write home about. He's not going to ever contend for a championship. He's better than Michael Johnson. He's fought better than Michael Johnson. He has fought stiffer competition, and I think he's a better fighter overall. But I think the problem with Michael Johnson is, like, they tried to match up Michael Johnson against Daniel Zellhuber to try and put Daniel Zellhuber over after that incredible fight that he had against Esteban Ribovics, where they went toe-to-toe, and it was a war. Doesn't really seem like Daniel Zellhuber's ever been the same since, because he once again lost to UFC Mexico in bad fashion to Bobby Green. I don't think there's anything wrong with losing to Bobby Green. There's something wrong with losing to Michael Johnson if you're an MMA fighter. Like, I'd lose to Michael Johnson, for the record. But when you look at Drew Dober, like, the guy has fought some legit killers in there. Whether he's come out on top or not, he's fought some killers. And a lot of times he does end up making it a good fight, and a lot of times he does end up coming on the right side of it. I don't see Drew Dober as a Michael Johnson type, meaning I don't think Drew Dober would have survived a, like, 2-7 stretch. Whatever that stretch was that Michael Johnson just kept losing, I don't think Drew Dober survives that in the UFC. Some reason, hey, Michael Johnson is a company guy, I guess, and he ends up surviving that. I think he ends up getting knocked out by Drew Dober. I think one of the things that will help Drew Dober big time, and it usually does help Drew Dober in a lot of fights, is that he trains at elevation. Michael Johnson fights an American top team in Florida. I think the elevation will absolutely help just with the cardio, because I think when you've got two guys that are willing to stand and trade like these two, I think the speed advantage will be with Michael Johnson. But I think eventually you're going to see Drew Dober walk him down. I think he hits harder, and I think he ends up putting Michael Johnson out. And when you're getting hit and you're getting clipped, you're wearing on that gas tank, I think that the training and elevation will end up paying off a little bit for Drew Dober. Not a ton, but I think it'll pay off for a little bit. The next fight on the card is a fight to get another up-and-coming guy over, big time, is Raul Rosas Jr. going up against Rob Font. And this is, if there was a fight on the card where you go, okay, you're clearly trying to set up one guy to lose, I feel like this would be it. Because Rob Font is definitely a name. He's an exciting fighter because he's got really, really good hands, really strong stand-up game. He's not exactly equipped, I don't think, to fight a guy who is prone to strangle you, like a Raul Rosas Jr. I mean, it's only a matter of time before Raul Rosas gets this to the ground. And I think he's going to have to eat some shots to do so. But I also think he's learned big time from that fight he had against Christian Rodriguez, where he just gassed out. He got way too excited. He went in there. He gassed out. And since then, he has rattled off win after win after win after win. Granted, I think the most impressive thing about his path as he continues to, keep in mind, like, he's still, 23, 24. I think the most impressive thing is the fact that the last two wins have come by unanimous decision. So he has worked on that gas tank. But I think in this case, he does end up strangling Rob Font, which is unfortunate because I like Rob Font. I like watching Rob Font fight. I definitely don't want to hear that stupid Chihuahua thing that Raul Rosas Jr. continues to try to make a thing. I don't think it's ever going to be a thing. I apologize if you can hear my dog drinking water in the background. But yeah, I mean, when you look at Rob, and I'm just looking at his record right now, Kyler Phillips, that was a really good win, unanimous decision. Gene Matsumoto, that was a split decision victory. He lost to David Martinez. And before that, it was like Figgy Smalls, Corey Sandhagen. Like, he has lost to the best of the best. And I think that's why the matchmakers have set this one up. Because it's pretty clear that they want Raul Rosas Jr. to be the next guy. They want him to be in the title picture. They want him to be somebody that they can really build up. Excuse me for a second. J-Roll, stop it. My dog's tearing up my couch. Stop it. Thank you. Act like a civilized human being. Appreciate it. That's not hiding anything. Like, this is a company that needs stars, and I think he could possibly be the next one that's propped up. This is a good way to do it. I mean, you're fighting a guy that's 22-9, but has, as I said, fought the best of the best in the division, and now he ends up going out there and with a record of like 15-1, to make it 16-1, it immediately puts him in the top 10 and immediately puts him in the title picture. Although I don't think he actually gets a title shot out of this, but it immediately puts him at least in the conversation. The next fight on the card is the co-main event. You've got Chao Borrello going against RDR, Ranier Dider. I don't think I said that right. That's why people call him RDR. Wasn't exactly a great showing for RDR last time out. He ends up facing Brandon Allen and quitting on the stool before the fifth round even starts. It was unfortunate because this is coming off of the biggest victory, I think, in his career, the Bo Nickel victory. I mean, he derailed the hype train that was Bo Nickel. And he follows it up with a fight in Brendan Allen that really could have put him in the title picture. You could have made a good case if RDR went out there and handled business that he would have gotten the next title shot. Instead, he ends up quitting on the stool. Now, he came out and said he had injuries and, he was anemic or something like that. There's a low blood cell count, yada, yada, yada. He's in for a big-time test in Chow because this probably would be, for Chow, if he ends up winning, he probably is the number one contender. If he ends up losing, it's a different story because I don't think there's any path where RDR ends up getting a title shot out of this victory. But in this situation, like, Chow's going to have to go out there and put on a show, and I think he knows that. I mean, this is a guy who has looked really, really good in his UFC run. But his last fight out, he ended up losing a unanimous decision to Nasruddin Imavov, and there's no shame in that. Like, Imavov is one of the best fighters in that division. But that was another example of, you have two fighters right now who were going up against each other in their last fights that were probably like, hey, if you do well in this, you're probably looking at the title shot, and they fell short. It's worth mentioning that Chow Borello ended up facing Brendan Allen. If you want to do MMA math, he ended up winning that fight. I just think in the end of the day, like, Chow Borello ends up just hitting really, really, really hard, and I think he ends up putting RDR to sleep. I don't think RDR's style of, the grappling and trying to get you down and I don't know if that necessarily works against Chow. We'll see. And I believe Chow fights out of the Fighting Nerds, and that's another point to him. He does. I just quickly looked. That's another point to Chow. Like, that gym's hot. They've been hot for a while now. So I'm not saying that RDR's title shots are cooked. I think that if he wins this fight, he's going to have to win another one after that. But in this situation, I don't think he wins. I think he ends up getting finished. I think Chow Borello takes him to the woodshed. I think RDR tries to get it to the ground, and he probably tries to pull guard a few times, but it doesn't end up working at all because the damage he's going to take on the feet is going to be too much, and Chow's going to end up coming out on top. I think if RDR wins, it's not going to be a Bo Nickel situation of knee to the body. I think he's going to end up submitting him, but I just don't see that happening. And then the final fight, the main event of the night, you've got the BMF belt on the line. Bad motherfucker. Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira. What a fight. I mean, a lot of people have been waiting for this rematch for a while because in their first matchup, Oliveira ended up getting a freak injury and ended up giving the victory to Max. But to see where they have come since then is huge. I mean, Max ends up going on that run in featherweight where at one point you were like, he could be the greatest of all time at featherweight. I think that nod goes to Alex Volkanovski. A lot of MMA media just will guzzle the name Jose Aldo. I think it's Volk. But Max has since moved up, and I think the big test for me when you look at Max moving up wasn't the Justin Gaethje fight. It was the Dustin Poirier fight, which actually gave him this he was defending the BMF belt, I guess, this stupid fake belt. But that to me was like my, oh shit, like, he's actually arrived. You get knocked out by Topuria, hey, it happens. I mean, everybody gets knocked out by Topuria. It's to the point where, we're at the Rocky situation. I just want to go the distance against the guy. I'm not even expecting to win. But you beat Justin Gaethje for the initial BMF belt. Fine, okay. I want to see that rematch because that fight was completely changed when Justin ended up breaking his nose at the very end of the first round. And I want to see how that fight would play out if he doesn't break his nose. And look, credit to Max for breaking the nose. But I just think that fight right away, when he broke his nose, it was like, oh, okay, this is going to be probably one-way traffic, and it was. So I wanted to know if that was a fluke. He ends up going out and facing Topuria, get knocked out, as I said, no shame in that. When you fight Dustin Poirier, though, in a retirement fight, when you fight a guy that's been fighting at 155 for years, when you fight a guy that you lost to at 155, your first step up was at 155 against Dustin Poirier, he took you to the woodshed, and you end up showing the levels in your game. You end up going out there and demolishing this guy. Home stage, retirement fight, family's there, and you end up just taking him to the woodshed. That's when I was like, oh, no, Max is a legit 155er now, and his body has acclimated to that size. You can see it. I think the one thing that hurts Max in this fight is the fact that Charlie Olives is a better ground game. And Charlie Olives apparently hits like an absolute fucking Mack truck. Justin Gaethje said the hardest he's ever been hit is by Charles Oliveira. You've seen the evolution of Charles Oliveira's game where he's become kind of a knockout guy. I think the one thing I like about Charles Oliveira is he seems to go where the fight takes him, though. If you're willing to give up the back, fine. He'll take that. If you want to stand and trade, fine. But he's not willing to just become a brawler. Like, an example is Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker has become the guy that's like, I'm just going to go out there and get my ass kicked. You know, I'm not even going to try to submissions. I'm not going to try holds. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to just stand and bang and trade. And it doesn't usually end up going well for him. Michael Chandler's kind of the same thing. Like, I'm just going to go out there and get my face caved in. Wrestling, I mean, I'm known for it, but I'm not going to do it. Charles Oliveira has not become that. When it comes to this fight, though, I'm really torn. I mean, I'm such a big Max Holloway fan. He's probably my favorite fighter on the roster right now, by far. But it's the all-around game that Charles Oliveira has that worries me for Max. And I think initially they are probably going to stand and trade. And then eventually Charles Oliveira will probably try to get this to the ground, and that's where it's how much is Max trained on getting out of those. I think he's probably trained a lot, but you got to keep in mind that the last couple guys that he's fought, Poirier, Topuria, Gaethje, they've all been stand-up guys. This is the first guy that's got a legit BJJ black belt. I'm torn. I really want to pick Max. I think I kind of got to go to Poirier. Or not to Poirier, jeez. Yeah, I'll go to Poirier. I think I hit thumbs down for that. I think I have to go Charlie Olives. When I bet, rest assured, I'm betting Max because I'm going to bet with my heart because this really could go either way. But I think I have to go with the overall better fighter, and I think the overall better fighter, and this is no shade on Max, I think it's probably Charles Oliveira. So I will go with that, but it wouldn't surprise me if Max ends up winning a decision because they stood and traded for the majority of the first 3 rounds, and then all of a sudden, Oliveira looks up and he goes, "Oh shit, I'm behind." You know, that last minute takedown in round 3 didn't exactly win over the round, and now he's playing catch up, and Max has already banked 3 rounds. So I'm gonna go Charles Oliveira. I don't feel good about it. All right, keep in mind I feel yucky about it, but there you go. As far as the undercard goes, real quick, I do like a couple of the fights on the undercard. I think there are some definitely some names on the undercard that will keep you entertained for sure. So let's take a look. The headlining card on the prelims is former champ Cody Garbrandt going against Long Zhao. I know nothing about his opponent. And Cody's been such a weird fighter to watch because that night that he faced Cruz, he was the best in the world. I mean, he put on an absolute masterclass. And since then, it's like those TJ Dillashaw fights where he lost something in those, like completely. And he hasn't been the same since. I don't know what it is. He tried to go to 125. That didn't work. He's back at 135 for this fight. I don't know if the 3 rounds really help him all that much. You know, he loses to Figgy Smalls. Figgy Smalls is kind of cooked now. Last fight out, he faces Ronnie Barrelos, who's, you know, a veteran in the game, but like he lost to him. Like, you look at the wins that he has in the last couple of years, and it's nothing great. I hate this. I mean, I don't know anything about his opponent. I'm going this based off of just strictly Cody. I got to go with this Long Zhao guy. Take that for what it's worth, because I don't know anything about him. I'm strictly going on Cody Garbrandt. Just never living up to the former champion title. Before that, you've got one of my locks tonight. Again, I have no idea what the betting line is for this. Alberto Montez against Ricky Tercios. Ricky Tercios should not be on a UFC roster. Put him in the Michael Johnson category. The only difference is Michael Johnson at one time in his life deserved to be on the UFC roster. Ricky Tercios has never deserved to be on the UFC roster. He's going to go out there. He's going to get beaten the fuck up. It's going to be bad. The only question is, how does it happen? Does he end up getting finished, or he ends up unanimous decision? Either way, his head will be hung. He will end up losing, and then I think he ends up getting cut because he sucks. He is so bad. He comes from probably the worst season of The Ultimate Fighter, where he didn't deserve to win. Well, I guess he deserved it because he won the fights, but like nobody from that class was good, and we're stuck with him now. After that, there's a couple guys that are like names, but nothing great where you go like, oh my god, I can't wait to see that particular matchup, but it's more like, oh, I can't wait to see that particular fighter. An example is that, like, I always like seeing Cody Brundage fight. He's a fun fighter. He's facing Dante Johnson, who's 7-0. So that'll be a good test for Dante Johnson. But Cody Brundage always ends up giving you a really nice fight. Nice fight? What am I saying? This is the problem when I talk 20 minutes straight. But yeah, so there you go. All right, back to the recap for you for the main card. I have G-Rod knocking out Bruno Ferreira. All right. The next fight, I have Michael Johnson losing to Drew Dober and getting finished by Drew Dober. I have Raul Rosas Jr. strangling Rob Font and getting a submission win. Then I have Chao Borello finishing RDR. And at the very end of it, I have Charles Oliveira beating Max Holloway. Don't know how it happens. Don't feel good about it. But I have that happening. There you go. Let me know what your predictions are as far as comments go. I'm probably going to only respond to channel members. To support the channel by becoming a channel member, it would help. Hit thumbs down if you like this. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked or if you thought any of my analysis sucked. I get it. Hey, we're all just guessing here, right? Just me and you here. Subscribe to the channel. That would be cool. And come back for the post show where I will own up to all of these mistakes that were bound to happen, because what you really should do is fade all these picks. All right, I'm going to go now. Go Sixers.